What's up, y'all? Can y'all hear me? Hey, everybody, come on in. I was having a little technical difficulty. Can y'all hear me? Can everybody hear me? Oh, that ain't what I meant to do. Hey, y'all. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Okay, y'all can hear me. Okay, good. I was having a little technical difficulties. Thank y'all. Let me I'm going to drop this link into my Beverly Jenkins book group on Facebook. For those of you who have been enjoying Beverly Jenkins, you have discovered Beverly Jenkins. I know some of y'all have started reading some of her other books and all of that. There is a Beverly Jenkins book of fans of Beverly Jenkins group on YouTube. So not YouTube, Facebook, Lord, Facebook. So I'm dropping that in there right now. In case anybody wants to come over and join the conversation. And then we're going to get this party started. And today is Beverly Jenkins' birthday. So, again, if you have been loving the book and you've been loving her, y'all can go just show her some birthday love, say happy birthday, all that good stuff. So that is what today is her birthday. You finished it last night? Okay, Below. So you got to stop though. I'm gonna let y'all know where to end so that we don't go further. I think most of y'all are probably done with the book, but just in case people aren't finished, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But that is the link. Remember, you guys feel free to come up if you want to come up and join the conversation. That is the link. We're going to get started. Everyone is freezing here in Dallas, supposed to get down to 0 degrees tonight, and we have no heat. Oh, no. Oh, Below, I am so sorry to hear that. The heat in your house went out? Oh, man. Yeah, I was seeing that. Listen, that global warming, people keep wanting to act like it ain't real. Texas getting snow. And y'all getting real snow. Like, it ain't like, oh, it's just some flurries. No, it's sticking. I've seen pictures and stuff. That snow's sticking down there. And the weather's been bad here for the last couple of days, and now they're talking about we're supposed to get another winter, some sort of winter, something coming through. Hold on, let me see what they're calling for us, because they calling for some sort of wintry something. Hey, Royalty Forever. Hey, listen, we're gonna jump, little baby. We're gonna virtually jump on her because she keep wanting to talk about what's that? Yeah, it's supposed to snow on Thursday. It's supposed to snow on Thursday and Friday. No, a wintry mix. That means they don't know what the hell coming. That's all. They just when they say a wintry mix, that just means that it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be rainy, and they don't know whether it's gonna be snow, ice, rain, sleet. They just know it's gonna be a mess. That's all that means. A wintry mix just means mess. See, that's when I stay home. I can't do that, because that's when you don't know whether it's gonna be ice, whether it's gonna be sleet. Child, I can't do the wintry mixes, honey. That's a whole nother thing. Hey, back. All right, I'm about to let you on in a second. You're backstage. Just let me take the camera off for a quick second. I just need to verify it's a real person back there. You know how to do that? I'm not gonna put you on camera though. Can you hear me, boo? Hey, New Jones, what's up? Rolling blackouts because the grid is overloaded, but ain't nothing rolling about it. It's been out since this morning. Oh no! Well, I know Lady Nika was saying the same thing. She's in Louisiana, and she said that she couldn't do her live this morning because she said that the lights have been on. They got this new thing up here. It's saying that my connection is unstable. Huh? Shoot, they saying my connection unstable. Okay. Bab, can you hear me?
I was trying to run to the restroom.
Oh no, you fine. Again, if anybody else wants to come up, we get ready to. You were talking to me in the private. I gotta remember to start looking at these private chats, child. All right, I'm gonna drop the link one more time, and then we get ready to get started because I'm not gonna I'm gonna do this an hour, and then so we can do. I still have time to do my regular live. I was trying to get on here a little earlier, but I told you guys I had some stuff, some errands I needed to run for my mom today. And I was over at my mom's house for a while with my nephew and all that good stuff. So, well, my parents. I always say my mom, like my daddy ain't there, child. He there. All right. So, chapter 10, we start chapter 10 off with Hester. Hold on, y'all. Okay, Hester got her mule back. Remember, we left off at chapter 9 with Hester, the mule, leaving them stuck, and then Galen had to come along and save them and all that. Well, remember, he invited them to dinner. And so we start off chapter 10 with them going to dinner with Galen. He done rented out a whole restaurant, child. And of course, Foster and Jenny are impressed. They are so impressed. Hester just thinks he's overindulgent. She ain't impressed by it. She thinks it's overindulgent. You don't need to be renting out whole restaurants just to have dinner. He said, well, I just didn't want us to be interrupted. She just really giving him the side eye like, sir, you're doing too much with your money. Okay, you playing these games. And they go to dinner, and Foster's talking about a school. He wants to start a school, and of course, resources have been limited. They're a small town with not a lot of money, and their resources have been very limited. And the only thing that's really what's the word, memorable that happens at dinner is that Foster makes a comment about Hester not being pretty, and he says, well, she's really smart, but she's no beauty. And Galen is not happy about that comment, but he don't make a big deal. Oh, did you want to come on camera?
No, okay. I was just flashing myself because you had asked us to.
Oh no, I already had you up on the screen, girl. I'm sorry. It was quick though. It was quick, y'all. I'm sorry. Yeah. So when they leave dinner, Galen goes to drop her off, and he walks her to the door. He basically asks her, if he could come over later, and she was like, no. He asked her to come to his house, and she was like, I'm not about to come over your house. And he was like, well, don't you want this new school? He's kind of almost blackmailing her, but in a nice way. Like, don't you want to talk about this new school? You might as well come on over and talk about it. And so she convinces him to come over. He convinces her to come over. She thinks she's crazy for doing it, but she does agree to go over. So I'm just starting at chapter 10. Bab, you can jump in wherever you want, whenever you want to jump in.
She jumped right into the paws of the lion.
Yes, she did, right? Or the dragon, as they call him, honey. She jumped right on into the lion's den. So she dresses and she goes over to his house. And remember, he's in this big, grand, beautiful home, and she doesn't even think she's worthy enough to knock on the front door. She drives around the back and knocks on the servant's door. And Maxie, who we find out later is not just his housekeeper, but really a confidant and almost like a pseudo mom to him. She answers the door and she gives Hester a up and down look like you one of them. Oh, you came to see him, huh? And almost dismisses her like, well, he busy right now, and I don't know when he gonna be finished. You can wait if you want to. And then when she says, well, no, that's okay, I don't need to wait, you can just let him know that Hester Wyatt came, and her whole affect changes, and she immediately is like, Oh no. You come on in here. He's been talking about you nonstop since the um since the since he got back home from last, fall and all of that. And so you definitely got the impression that he been talking about her.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add in there? Because I'm just running my mouth, John.
Nothing yet.
Okay, no problem. You stand for Queen Maxie. Yeah, I like Maxie too. And you see again, a lot of these characters overlap in her subsequent books. I mean, I even think, what was the book I just read? There was a book recently where Galen and Hester make a cameo. I mean, it's not about them. They literally just make a cameo. Like they're like in one scene, but they're there. And I'm like, she just could, she constantly overlaps her characters, which is great. That you could, so that kind of lets you keep up with what's going on. I mean, they were in the book long enough for you to know, okay, they're still happily married. They have XYZ amount of children. This is what she's doing. This is what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? They give you enough of that.
Yeah.
But it's a nice little surprise when you're reading and you see a character that you read about, like, oh, especially for me, because I love Indigo so much. I'm always happy to get any sort of update on this imaginary life. Okay.
I wish they had a book for Maxie herself.
You know what? We learn a little bit more about Maxie, and because she says something in one of the later chapters, where I'm sort of skipping ahead a little bit, but I'm gonna go back, where Hester is talking to her, and Hester's like, listen, I'm not used to this life. Like, I'm not used to a life of leisure. And she said, listen, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I can tell you that it's that being rich is nicer. And so you know that there's a story there. And so we learn a little bit more about her story later on. But I'm with you. I would love to have gotten a Maxie story, or even like a prologue, to see where, like, her story before she even met up with where we met her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The other thing that I love about, and I'm getting off on a side note. The other thing I love about her books is that people of all walks of life fall in love in her books. And so a lot of times we'll see older women, like, who are widowed and they've already raised their children, women that, you get to a certain point and you feel like, oh, well, life is over for them, child. They done already had their churn. They done already did this and did that. And and they're like, oh no, wait a minute, they in love? Oh, okay. Oh, they getting married. So I love the fact that she does that as well, that she doesn't just limit to these young people. Like, her stories, and she even has a couple of young adult. For those of you who are mothers and fathers, if I have any fathers in the room who want to, you love her style of writing, she has a couple of young adult novels where the girls don't do nothing more than kiss. Okay, it ain't none of this romance. I mean, it's romance, but it's very innocent. I know Belle and Her Bow is one, and it's Something in the Soldier. They're two different ones. It's Belle and her Bow, and Something in the Soldier. I forget the girl's name, but it was her name and then The Soldier. And those are two young adults books that she has. And so the most scandalous thing that happens is that they kiss. But it's the same storytelling. It's the same history. It gives you a lot of that history in there. And so if you're interested in finding young adult books, like teen fiction, that would be good. Okay. See, I done got way off again. Okay.
Just a teeny tangent. It was a good one, though.
Thank you. I quote that driving into her story would be interesting. And we diving into her story. Yeah, it would be. It definitely would be. Okay, so she gets to his house, like I said, and Maxie lets her in, and he actually comes and he introduces her. He is in the middle of a meeting, and he actually introduces her. He has some of the Maxie definitely has a backstory, absolutely. And that's why I said I would love to get like that in a novel version. But anyway, there's that he has a room full of abolitionists. And again, these are real people that were very active in the abolitionist movement. And we get John Brown, who, again, I said in my review that John Brown is, definitely a person in real life. We know about him in Harper's Ferry and George the Baptiste, William Lambert. These were real people. And so that was interesting as well. She just continues to infuse real Black history in there. And when they leave, Hester's like, why did you invite me? Why did you introduce me to those men? Like, those were really like important men. And he said, because if something ever happens to me, I want them to seek you out. Or if you ever need anything, you can seek them out. I wanted y'all to meet. And she was like,
Right.
was like, boy, I'm good,
It's one of those things that made me like Galen even more because he's always thinking ahead of ways to take care of her,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's what makes him such a good character and a good love interest.
China White, that is actually a really good question. Yes, if you go to, I will get her website before I get off of here, but if you go to Beverly Jenkins, the official website, there is a list. It's on her website, the list of novels and what order to read them in. I don't have it in front of me right now, but if you remind me before we get off of here, or even when we're on the main channel, if I forget before we get off of here, I can get you the link. But if you probably Google Beverly Jenkins, I'm not sure if it's .org, .com, but the official website, it has the list. There's a list of her novels, and it's the suggested order is on the website. That's a really good question. So anybody else that was wondering, but again, Indigo, I believe is her second novel. The first novel was Night Song, and Indigo, I believe, was her second novel. So starting at Indigo is pretty good, and then you can still go back and read Night Song. And the main character from Night Song, I think they mention him, but it's not like you needed to know that story to understand Indigo. Like, it's not really. But I know they mention him in later novels, but it doesn't affect right now. But that's a good question, China. Good question. Okay. Lord, y'all are trying to make sure I'm keeping up with that as I'm talking. So then she talks to him about the school. And she explains that, Foster is a teacher, but they haven't been able to really pay him. And it would be great, if he would want to invest. She wasn't asking him to pay for everything, but to be an investor and sort of help them. And he was kind of like, all right, I'll think about it. Okay, a salary. Okay, fine. And she was like, I'm not asking you to do the whole thing. And he was like, that's fine. Like, okay. He's trying to hurry up and get past that, because her coming over there to talk about that school was a ruse, child. She wasn't a bit more.
He said, I don't care about that little school.
Right. I don't care about those school. I don't care. Child, nobody care about the old school. All right. Hold on. Wait a minute, y'all. I'm gonna keep losing my daggone train, my place in here.
Look at Belo's comment.
I was giving my hubby the side eye reading some of the lust. Listen, Galen will get you in trouble. Galen will get a lot of men in trouble, especially this weekend with Valentine's Day. This probably wasn't a good time to be reading about the romance novels, because I know some of y'all was really looking like, really? Okay. That's what I got for Valentine's Day. I mean, Galen buying, Madagascar vanilla and stuff, and that's what I got. Okay, then. That was fun.
He said it has the best flavor.
He sure did. He said, listen, it was the best flavor, honey. All right, so I'm gonna drop the link again in case anybody came in while we was talking. And so they end up kissing, having a little moment again. And she experiences during this time her first orgasm. Baby, she didn't know what had come over her. Okay?
She was like, am I about to die?
She said, what is he doing to me? What in the hell is he doing to me? Listen, she didn't know what to do with herself, okay? And just at that, when she trying to get herself together, honey, Maxie comes knocking on the door and giving him that look like, oh, it's time for her to go home. She been here long enough. It's time for her to go home. Okay,
She
I
said,
know what
"You are not about to corrupt her."
right. I know what y'all was up in here doing, and it is time for her to go home. Okay. Um, and she just, I think in that moment is when Hester decides, listen, I don't care if this is gonna last a day, a week, a month, a year. I'm just gonna live in the moment. I'm just gonna enjoy it. And if my heart get broken, I'm a big girl, then my heart just have to be broken, Right, right. He taking people to the mountaintop with a kiss. He sure was. Listen. No, I'm sorry. At first she was like, I don't want to be hurt. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. I keep getting ahead of myself. Hold on, let me get back. Okay, here I am. First orgasm. See, as I was reading, I was making notes so I could keep up with where I was, child, what was going on. All right, so we learned about a little bit more about his grandmother, Avada, and her scandal. We found out that she ended up having to leave New Orleans and move up to Detroit because there was a great scandal because her husband left her for another woman, a darker,
Not just another woman. Yeah, a darker woman.
a dark woman, which of course was, I mean, the scandal enough, but the fact that he left this light-skinned Creole, damn near white woman for him, a dark-skinned woman, baby. But you know what's funny? I actually have that story in my family. A lot of people may not know about my last name. I don't want to say it, but my last name is really known in this area as one of those families coming out of slavery that were very light skinned, light bright, damn near white, and they had a history for intermarrying, marrying second and third cousins to keep the complexion light.
Right.
And even marrying, there were a couple of other families that they would marry into that were also of the same complexion, and that was acceptable because they were trying to keep the skin light. My great grandfather, his first wife was, the acceptable light bright, damn near white, and then she died. And when he remarried a darker skinned Cherokee woman, and he left because he knew he was going to be ostracized and his children will be ostracized and certainly his wife. And so he left my family is originally from Southern Maryland. He left from Southern Maryland and that's when he moved his family to DC. And so I sort of have that in my family, and so we're talking about, again, this was the 1800s, but I'm telling you, this happened 2 generations ago. So we're talking about the 30s and 40s that this happened. I mean, my grandmother was born in like the 30s, the early 30s, something like that. So we're not talking about 200 years ago. This is still pretty recent. Well, in the grand
going on well after that.
Huh?
I said it was probably going on well after that too.
Oh, I'm sure. And even now, like people people always call, and I don't know. Anyway, people always talking about my complexion, but I'm like, even I'm considered dark skinned among my Southern Maryland family. Like when I say they could pass for white, and some of them probably are passing for white or did pass for white. When I say that, you could run into some of my family from Southern Maryland and really not know that they black. Like that's just so if I'm considered dark skinned compared to some of my family members, you can only imagine what. Yeah, you can only imagine what that was. Like my grandmother had red hair, like natural, red hair. Her and all her sisters, natural red hair. So my hair has red hues in it. Like in the summer, the sun brightens my hair. Even if I wasn't dyeing it, it would brighten. Like when I was younger and I didn't dye my hair, it would brighten it and it would turn reddish, like a reddish blonde. So if you notice, like in the summer, the colors of my hair be looking real crazy, child. It'd be all kinds of
those jeans.
Right. It just be all over. All over the place, child. Okay, so her first little orgasm, and then she sent her home, honey. She sent her home. And so we find out that that's how his grandmother ended up north. So we get a little bit of history about the grandmother. We already know the grandmother ain't a nice person. Okay. Not a nice person at all. And he went to visit her. He really wasn't going to visit her because the next day he said, I need to get away. I need to get out of here because if I stay here, I'm going to keep doing stuff that I'm going to keep, playing games with this woman and end up messing up her reputation because I'm ready to just kiss her in public and let everybody know that she belongs to me. I don't care about social norms. I don't care about what's accepted and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. I don't care. So he ends up going down to visit his aunt Racine, and we found out that his aunt is the only one that really he even really messes with from his family.
Yeah, Aunt Racine was cool.
Yeah, Aunt Racine is cool, and he tells her about Hester, and Aunt Racine was like, "Listen, you know I don't care, okay, but I'm just gonna talk to you like we need to talk to you, okay? She's an innocent. You can't play games with her. Either she not one of your little women that know what the deal is. She don't come from my circle. I'm not saying that in a elitist way. I'm saying that like she don't understand the game. Like some of these other women you used to dealing with, they understand. So you got to be very careful playing with her. You can't play with her heart." And he was like, "No, I really feel like I love her. And so he asked her, will she come and be his hostess, so that if Hester is back over to the house again, it won't sully her reputation to find out that she was alone with a man, at the house. Because, just like people can recognize cars, honey, they can recognize these buggies. And somebody come
Yeah.
along, they see Hester's buggy sitting in front of his house or even behind the house, you could tell what's going on, right? Yeah, that grandmother was a piece of work. I promise you, her attitude towards darker skinned people was an anomaly. No, it wasn't. Oh no, it was absolutely not. I just told you, my great grandfather was ostracized by his whole damn family, child, for marrying himself a dark skinned Cherokee woman, honey. All right, and she agreed to come down. So next thing you know, the town is abuzz. Hold on. Lord, I swear. Yeah. Okay. Next thing you know, the town is abuzz with. Wait a minute. Did I? Y'all, I'm sorry, y'all. Did I skip ahead again? Hold on. Abigail moved in with Hester. Okay, I knew I had skipped something, child. And Hester and Abigail went up to Detroit to do some shopping. Hester finally realized that money that Galen gave her must really be, it's real, and she could spend a little of it. So she said, "I'm gonna go get me some new dresses because I haven't done anything nice for myself in a long time because I ain't had no money. Now I got this little piece of change, and I'm gonna go do something nice for myself." And they're in Detroit shopping, and she's in a dress shop. And we also meet B's son, Lemieux, who has started himself a little Uber service where he's taking people back and forth to Detroit, for a little bit of a fair little taxi service. And so that's how they get to Detroit. And she's in the dress shop and she sees this beautiful white silk, expensive as all get out. And she sits there and she's really, really thinking about it. But she she finally decides, listen, I'm here splurging, but I don't need to splurge this much money. And where in the world would I ever wear something like this? Like, I'm a farmer, you know what I mean? Like, ain't no need for me to do nothing like this. And so just as she's turning around to go to the cheapest side of the store, who she bump into, child?
Galen.
And I knew then, even the first time I read the book, I knew then, I said, he gonna buy that damn silk. He saw her looking at that silk. And he asked her to have lunch with him. And she is like, no. And he said, I tell you what, if you're going to have lunch with me, I'm about to kiss you in the middle of the store. And of course, she knows what that is. So she agrees to go to lunch with him. But hell, they don't go to lunch. They end up riding around in his carriage, making out, as the kids would say. They was making out, honey. Kissing and hugging.
They were riding in the carriage, all right.
Yeah, right. Right. They was riding in the carriage, kissing and hugging and the kissing. And he gets her back, she ain't buy nothing, okay? She ended up not even buying the cheap fabric, much less the expensive fabric. So a couple of days later, Galen announces that he is having this royal ball at his house to introduce himself to his new neighbors. It is all the talk of the town. Everybody is getting their finest dresses, hair, women getting their hair done, the men are getting themselves, shaped up and all that good stuff. And everybody is excited about not only meeting this new rich neighbor, but it's so many rumors going on about him that people don't even know what's true, what's not, is he, there's so many rumors, how that goes. Somebody new moving to town, they don't know nothing. All they know is that he's rich and child. And they said they find out he's an eligible bachelor, so every woman with a daughter of marrying age is getting her ready to throw at him, child.
Literally.
Literally, right. And Hester said, I ain't even going. She said, I ain't going to that party. One, I am not going to that party because part of the party was also to honor Foster, to congratulate Foster and Jenny on their wedding. So she was like, first of all, people already been gossiping. I don't need to add to the gossip to be at the party to congratulate them on their damn marriage. Like, I'm
And
good.
is this after he had called her ugly in front of Foster
This was
his new
after
wife?
they called her ugly. Yes, this was after.
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
not
what's up,
congratulating you on
boyfriend?
nothing.
You late? It's okay. I'm gonna drop the link in case you want to come up again, girl. You gave us some good gems last time. If you feel like coming up, and that's open to anybody. Again, anybody who wants to come up, y'all feel free to come on up and join the conversation. Yeah, this was after he called her ugly, child. She said, "And I don't want to be in a room with Galen all night. You know, I just ain't trying to do it." So she wasn't gonna go to the party.
If only she knew how to play the game, because she would have went there with Galen to make Foster
Okay.
jealous. You know, get back at
Okay.
Foster for that mess that he said.
Okay. Exactly. So they so Abigail ends up going to go get her hair done. So, Hester's home alone. Well, first Foster comes by and begs her to come. Right. Foster can't call nobody ugly. You right, Brandon, the way they describe his pot belly self. So first, Foster gonna come around and beg her to go to the party. And I'm like, the audacity. He told me some, well, Jenny, you're her only friend, and she's nervous and she doesn't know anybody, and you're her only friend. And I'm like, so the woman you jilted to marry her, that's her only friend?
Besides the fact he was being selfish because he ain't wanted to look like there was a problem between him and Hester and Jenny. You know,
Right.
it was self-serving.
Very self-serving. And then he sort of alludes to the fact that all is not kosher at the house. He says something about she won't even let me, and then he sort of cuts himself off, and Hester's like, let you what? He was like, nothing. But will you go? And Hester was like, and I'm not. No. So while Abigail is down to the salon getting her hair did, there's a knock at the door. And who it is? Andre. Poor Andre. Andre at the door with a big ass box with a big ass bow on it. And I think we all knew what was in that box. And she tells Andre, go ahead. I already know that you scared. I'm going to send it back. Go ahead. If I need to take it back, I'll take it back to him myself. And she opens up the box, and it is a gorgeous ball gown made out of that white silk with some slippers and some gloves and a little shawl and the whole kit and caboodle, honey.
And there is nothing like a really dark-skinned woman in a white dress. They look so beautiful.
Right, with that white baby. Yep. And then she decides, well, I guess I'll go to the party. And she ends up going to the party. Of course, Galen stares at her all night. She tells him, listen, you can't keep doing that. People are going to start gossiping. And of course, he still don't care. And what we also find out is that Abigail and Aunt Racine, they know each other. And she told Hester, listen, his aunt used to help, she's an abolitionist. She used to help out. We used to work together and do some things together. And we found out later on in the book that they actually helped smuggle some slaves together with Galen. I mean, not with Galen. Oh shoot, who was that they were talking to? Maxie? Was it Maxie? I think it was Maxie. And so when the evening is over, Foster gets invited to an after party. And he don't really want to go, but Jenny is like, you got to play the game. You got to hobnob with the right people. You got to rub elbows with the right people. You need to stay for this party. And so he was like, all right, then I guess I'll stay for the party. And Hester ends up going home. Abigail stays at the house with Aunt Racine so they can capture more old times. So she's home alone. And Galen tells her, all right, I'm going to come see you later on. She was like, no, you're not. He said, yes, I am. She said, please don't come. He said, all right, don't fret. Now, in her mind, don't fret me, I'm not coming. In his mind, don't fret me, don't worry about it, I'll sneak in. Nobody's gonna see me. Like that didn't mean he wasn't coming. But after she goes home and she puts on one of them nightgowns talking about some, if he was coming tonight, what would I wear? I said, girl, you knew he was coming.
She was hoping at least.
She showed up. Right. At the very least, she was hoping. And he comes in through that little secret passageway and sees her standing in one of them nightgowns he bought her, baby. He said, listen, go put on one of them old ugly robes. Oh, you still at work? Oh, okay. No problem. We understand. Because we got some work to do before we can play. We got work. And so he has a list of everybody he invited to the party, and he wanted her to identify who works with the Underground Railroad, who's a part of the abolitionist movement, and who just lives here, who's just, tell me who these people are. And so they do that first, and then they play. Again, if y'all want the details on the plan, y'all gotta go read the book, honey. Okay? But they play. She has her second orgasm, and this time she learns the art of oral satisfaction. Okay.
Well, how to receive it.
Yeah, how to receive it. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, how to receive it. Okay. All right. So, hold on. Around this time, that's when Hester, like I said, had decided, listen, I'ma just enjoy this for what it is. Okay. However long it lasts, whatever it's gonna be. And the next day, that's the first time that Galen also professes his desire to make her his wife, and she really think he playing. Like, stop playing. Like, you're really not interested in me being your wife. Like, stop playing. Then we also find out that Ezra Shue and the crew are back in town. All right, they had gone away for a while, but they are back in town, and that is not good news for anybody that is involved. Okay.
Yeah, especially not Hester, because Shu took a big fascination with her.
Okay. Now, also around this time, there was two of their neighbors were arrested and as runaways to be sent back. Ezra Shue had a warrant for their arrest, that they belonged to a landowner down in Kentucky. And of course, the first thought was, why them? Because they don't bother nobody. They're quiet. They're not part of the Underground Railroad or the abolitionist movement. They are runaways, but they keep a very low profile, probably for that reason. Like, we just want to live the rest of our life as free people and keep it moving. We ain't trying to start nothing or none of that. But Hester and her friends come up with a plan to break both of them out of jail, child. And part of that plan involves Hester dressing up as her name is Blackburn, dressing up as Miss Blackburn and switching out with her. Now Hester knows that that it's a chance, it's a risk of her doing that, but she feels like it's worth the risk because ultimately she's a free woman. She's got her papers. So she's like, I mean, yeah, I'm breaking her out of jail, but I'll probably have to pay a little bit of a fine and it'll be okay after that. And so they go through the whole thing of breaking her out of jail. And when the sheriff comes in late on that night is when he realizes that he got the wrong prisoner. Now, Ezra Shue and them are pissed when they find out. Now, we also found out during this time that the sheriff was actually her father's best friend. They had grown up together. And remember, her father was free. So it wasn't like, oh, that's the slave master's son and they was friends. No, they were legitimately, grew up friends. And so he also was a part of the Underground Railroad before he became the sheriff. So he knows exactly what's going on in his town. I mean, he has to keep up appearances and he has to, he can't let them get away with murder. But he absolutely knows who's doing what and the fact that slaves are being smuggled to freedom through his town. Like, he absolutely knows that.
Right.
The bad thing about this is that at the time, anyone could say you were a runaway and you couldn't. Exactly. With the Fugitive Slave Act, all they had to say was, I had a slave run away and they were dark skinned with short hair. Any dark-skinned woman with short hair, oh, you fit the description, you got to go back. And like it said in the book, judges were paid more money to send slaves back than they were to acquit slaves. And so, I mean, the incentive was to do what? Send the slaves back because you get paid more money. I'm sad the woman got separated from her husband. That part broke my heart. But they reconnected. They reconnected. Remember, he was in Detroit, but they got him out of Detroit too. So they reconnected. But
and sent them up to Canada.
sent him right on up to Canada. So the sheriff, so the sheriff has an affinity for Hester. Now Ezra came through there and was pissed off, and he wanted Hester,
He was trying to rape that lady.
Well, yeah. And so the sheriff got Ezra out of there. But later on that night, the sheriff had to go over to the church. He said, I promised my wife she'll be pissed off at me if I don't make it. He said, but my relief didn't come in. And he said, Hester, this one was so funny to me. He said, Hester, I need a favor. He said, if I leave you here by yourself, can you promise you're not going to escape? She said, Sheriff, I promise I'll be here. I won't go nowhere. I'll stay here. And he actually leaves her with the gun because he said, listen, Ezra's shoe is still floating around, him and his little bandits. And if they come through here starting trouble, shoot them between the eyes. Like, here's the gun. Here's some ammunition. You know what to do. And they did come through there to try to rape her. They absolutely were going to rape her until she shot one of them over the head, shot a warning shot. And they realized that she really was going to shoot them because they was like, you ain't going to shoot us. And she proved that, yes, I will. Oh, yes, I will shoot you. And so they run off. And then later on that night, Foster and Galen show up to rescue her.
And just when I thought I could like Foster, because he came to try and get her, he opens his mouth.
Right. Because now he talking about something. How could you do that? You putting your property in jeopardy. You putting this and you doing this. Again, go sit down somewhere. Every scene with shoe rattles you. Yeah. The way she did such a good job of writing him as this horrible person that you get nervous every time he's around. You just know it's gonna be some stuff, And so Galen shows up and the sheriff shows up, and of course the sheriff's like, oh my goodness, I'm sorry they came back. And Galen was like, listen, how much it gonna be to take her home tonight? Like, what you need? And he gives the sheriff a whole bag of gold, and the sheriff don't know what to do with it. So he ain't seen that much money.
What is this?
Right, he ain't seen that much money before in his life, honey. He's like, what in the world? And so he takes Hester home, and of course Galen is upset, but he's quiet. Whereas Foster is running his damn mouth the whole time, fussing at Hester. And just as Hester knew, Galen came that night. He came to see her, honey. He was going to come see her. I find it so interesting that those times we weren't allowed to touch white people items or them because we were dirty, yet their man raped us and we breastfeed their children. Exactly, child. Listen, none of it makes sense. None of it made sense. Okay.
Low key, what Beverly Jenkins probably couldn't put in her book is a lot of those people who were doing the slave catching stuff like Shoe, ended up disappearing.
They did.
They in somebody's backyard.
Okay. So of course, when Galen came to visit her, he was upset, but he understood the work because he's on the railroad. Like, he gets it. But of course he's upset because he's fallen in love with this woman and he doesn't want to think about anything or any harm coming her way. So once again, he asked her to marry him, child. Once again, she is like, I'm not marrying you. He was like, okay, well, what we gonna do about this? Because I really feel like I'm in love with you. And that's the first time he actually says it to her. And of course, she looks at him like, you what? And he was like, oh, that's all you got to say? Like, I just told you I'm in love with you and you just don't have no words. So the next day, like I said, they play around a little bit again. Okay. The next day, well, not the next day, a couple of days later, I should say, Galen comes to see Hester, And he asked her to go make mud pies with him. And she actually agrees to do it, which shocked him because he just knew that she was going to give him a hard time. And she was like, listen, I've just decided to live in the moment. However long you're going to be here, however long you're going to show me some attention, I'm going to just live in the moment. And she said, but I got to run an errand first before we go do that. I got to take these books over back to Foster. He not here. He out of town, but I need to drop him off to the school.
Jenny was getting the education.
Janie definitely. Listen, they get over to the school, honey, and Janie is down to the floor with B's son, Lemieux. Okay? And Hester is shocked for a couple of reasons. One, she ain't never seen two people having sex before, okay? So that's the first thing that shocked her.
She was like, what is going on? They look like they hurting each other.
Right. She looked like she was in pain. What? And of course, Galen knew exactly what was going on, you know. And of course, she's hurt for Foster because, you know, even though he did what he did to her, you know, she was like, this is going to break his heart. Like, he really loved this woman. And Jenny ends up threatening them, like, listen, if y'all tell anybody what y'all saw here, I'm going to tell everybody that y'all run around here, you know, sleeping with each other. And, you know, Galen threatens her. He was like, listen, I mean, ain't nobody going to tell your little secret, but don't threaten me because that ain't the game you want to play. So, of course, they go off and Hester got a lot of questions. She asked him questions about what she saw and, you know, was Jenny in pain? Does it hurt? And he was like, listen, I ain't going to lie to you. The first time it's going to hurt. But after that, you're going to be good to go. And they go play. They make mud pies, honey. And she also lets Abigail know what's going on. Abigail was like, well, listen, you and Vashon, y'all enjoy yourselves. As far as Jenny is concerned, listen, don't you say nothing because Foster is in love with that woman and nothing you say is going to convince him otherwise until he's ready to see it. So it ain't nothing you can say. Just go on and let her do her. And honestly, we see that even today that happens.
Yep.
You know, we see that today. If people don't want to hear it, they don't want to hear it. You know?
Can't tell them nothing about their person.
You sure can't. If they in love, honey, they are in love. Jenny needs a big A stitch on her dress. She sure does, Brandon. You ain't lying. She need that big old A stitch right on.
See, exactly. Brandon needs to come up here.
Well, Brandon got the link if you want to come. But you
and
ain't.
So does well, everybody participate and shoot. Just come up and talk one time.
Well, you know, it's okay. They don't have to come. I'll drop the link again. But y'all can stay with y'all all. We having a good time.
Oh, but you're about to be off in a little bit, right?
Yeah, because we almost done. We almost at the end of the 3 chapters. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to talk about tonight, but we still gonna do our regular live. And Jenny even lets her know, listen, a woman has needs. Like, Foster don't know what the hell he doing. I said, ooh.
That's why she's not letting him blank.
And she even threw it in Hester's face. Well, you was the one willing to be in a loveless marriage. Not me, ma'am. Not me. Or she said a sexless marriage, not loveless, a sexless marriage. She said, not me. Not me. So Hester decides, listen, I'm probably never ever going to know what it's like to have sex with a man because once Galen moves on to the next thing, after that whole debacle with Foster, I probably ain't never going to get married. So that night she decides to put on one of them little nightgowns, honey, and go on over there to see Galen. And Maxie lets her in. Maxie gave her a little side eye, but Maxie let her in and took her up to his room. And he showed her. He sure did.
She was also getting a lesson.
Got herself a few lessons, honey, that night, okay? And so the next morning, Galen was like, okay, well, you got to marry me now because you might be carrying my child. Because, I mean, I know I was supposed to pull out, but it was feeling so good to me, I just couldn't make that happen. So
she was like, wait, a baby?
Right. She said, a what? She said, you might be carrying my child now, so we got to make this happen. She said, a baby. And she realized just how ignorant she is to what men and women do. And she actually goes to B and tells her, listen, my aunt, love her to death, but she has left me very ignorant to what happens between a man and a woman, and I absolutely need your help. Okay. Right, Sparkle. She went round to the house, honey. She sure did in the middle of the night with her little nightgown on, child. Went round
They did women a disservice back then, not telling them
they
anything
sure
about their
did.
bodies.
I mean, even thinking about Bridgerton. I don't know how many of you guys looked at Bridgerton, but that girl, her mama sent her off on her wedding night. She ain't know nothing from nothing. Okay. She just knew something go down on the wedding night that could lead you to have a child. She ain't know nothing from nothing. I said, we did such a disservice to our children, especially our girls, I should say, just not letting them know anything,
Right.
So they have sex, and she asked me what's going on, and Indigo, of course, she walked away being a little bit more educated about the situation and understanding that she absolutely could be pregnant. Hold on. Okay, we almost done, y'all. We in.
Like Lauren Lake says, it only takes one time.
Listen, it only takes one time, child. It absolutely only takes one time. Hold on, y'all. We almost done. We in the last. We in chapter 17. Hold on. We almost done. Well, no, we're not quite in chapter 17, but we're almost done. Okay, we're halfway through chapter 16. We're almost done. So Galen once again, tells her so Hester, what happens? She goes home, da 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 da. So the next thing you know, there are two separate rumors being floated around about her. Foster comes banging on her door, and Jeannie done turned the story all around. And Jeannie done turned it from her being the one on the floor having sex with Lemieux to Hester and Vashon having sex on the floor to the church. Now, why? I mean, to the school. Now, why they would be at the school having sex? Who knows? Okay. But of course, Foster shows up and he believes it because she said that they threatened her and she was so scared of Vashon and all of that. So, hold on, y'all. Sorry, hold on. Ugh. I mean, hey. All right. So, then Foster runs his butt on over to Vashon and threatens him to a duel. And Vashon is like, child, I could shoot you in my sleep. Boy, if you don't get out my face. So she goes from being accused of being a whore, which is what Foster actually says, that she's became his whore. She go down to the beauty shop, and they talking about some. We heard you getting married, so it was still the same rumor with the same man, but one spin was, oh, y'all are in love, y'all getting married. The other spin was, oh, you his mistress, you his side hoe, right? So Andre goes to get her from the house and takes her back to Vashon's house, and he tells her, he said, listen, you got to marry me. Like, this is ridiculous. This is getting out of hand. I will not have your reputation, taken away over something, one that didn't even happen. Well, it did happen, but it ain't happened the way they said it happened. He
right,
said,
it was somebody else's mess.
Right, and I do love you. So, right, Foster is all up and through Hester's business, okay? Not bringing hateration and holleration to the dancery. Oh, you was thinking the same thing about Bridgerton? And so he was like, she said, I'm not gonna marry you. He was like, all right, when the next
She's
time
so stubborn.
Right. He was like, when the next time you going to church? She was like Sunday. And then what happened on Sunday? We go to church. And her biggest thing was she just knew that women from her and B even said that to her, like, well, men like him don't marry women like us. Like, we're just not in his class, so don't get caught up don't let yourself get too caught up in all of this, because he ain't gonna marry you. And so that's always in her mind. And so she gets to church, and women ain't speaking to her, and they whispering about her. And so she knows that Foster made good on his threat to tell everybody that she was really the one that was the hoe, right? And her real friend stuck by her, but it was still very hurtful to her. Vashon walks up in the church, honey, and the pastor get to preaching about sinning and sleeping around and all of that. And he stands up. He said, "Listen, you are clearly talking about me and her. So let's just go ahead and end all of this and just go ahead and marry us." And Hester was like, "What?"
He told you I was getting married.
Right. She was like, "You go what?" Now, of course, a part of her wanted to marry him, so she was mad, but she wasn't mad. She was
right.
mad. And so they ended up getting married, and he takes her back to the house, and of course, Maxie and Raymond are ready for her to be pissed. And she really wasn't that mad. I mean, it was like, I think part of her knew that it had to happen, especially once her reputation became a part of it. And then a part of her wanted to marry that man. You know what I mean?
I think she just didn't want to set herself up to be disappointed.
Absolutely. And even on her wedding night, she said to him, she was like, "Well, are we sleeping in the same place?" And, all that. And she said, "Well, I thought that's what, men take up mistresses for those kinds of things." And he was like, "No, I want you to be my wife and my mistress. Like, that's what I want you to be. Can you give me the best of both worlds? You could be a lady in the streets and a freak in the bed. That's what I want." And find out that, of course, her whole life has changed. I mean, she's gone from being poor to rich overnight. He has a whole room full of clothes that he's been buying her since he left back in October, when he was still healing. He's got slippers, he's got gloves, he's got gowns, he's got everything you could think of, right? Room full of it. And she's, just the extravagance of it all, she's just not ready for. Maids to help her get dressed. She was like, "I can get dressed by myself. I've been dressing myself my whole life. I don't need no help." And they were like, "Whatever, you got it now." People to do her hair for her, and just be, it was just literally like, I left for church this morning, minding my business as a poor little country girl, and literally my life has turned into this. He buys her these wonderful gifts, an orange, the vanilla from Madagascar, the diamond earrings, okay, and he tells her the story about how he became the Black Daniel. And it was really quite by accident. I mean, he grew up a very privileged life. His family were free. He was third generation of freedmen. And he, went to school in France. And, he grew up rich. And he never really thought about the plight of enslaved people until he got older. And he said, there were times when, his way of getting back at people was to pass for white or pass for Brazilian or French, and then, be able to eat where he wasn't supposed to be able to eat, or stay at the hotels where he wasn't supposed to be able to stay and stuff, until a friend of his needed his help to get his sister out of bondage. And he posed as a Creole man that came to buy his sister. And that's how he got into the underground, doing the Underground Railroad. Go ahead, Bap. I feel like I'm talking a lot.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You are fine.
I think this movie almost done, honey. Hold on. Let me make sure. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm okay. Mistress and wife, yeah. Yeah, that was pretty much it. And then, of course, they had a nice little wedding night, honey. They had a nice little wedding night. When she went back to church, he had to go out of town. Oh, no, I missed a whole lot. Y'all, I'm sorry. Hold on. I missed a lot. These chapters had a lot of information in them. Lord have mercy. The fact that mistress was such a common practice that Hester initially was asking, "Which role do you want me to play?" But it's cute. Right. It became an inside joke for them. Absolutely. It sure was. It sure was. Now, Galen had to go off and do some Underground Railroad type work. And while he was gone, the activity stepped up from Ezra Shue and his crew. And it was almost like they were getting inside information. They raided a few more houses. They, a couple of more people ran off. I mean, they took kidnapped, and what they did was this time they're not going through the sheriff anymore because I guess they figured that the sheriff ain't really on their side. So they started just going into people's houses in the middle of the night and kidnapping them without going through the proper channels of the proper paperwork, which again they could get away with. And on one of those raids, a posse of men went after Ezra Shue and his crew to try to save the guys, the two guys that had been kidnapped. And Mr. Was it Boot Bradford? What was it? Bradford died. He was killed, and he was really, really close to Hester. That was actually the guy that Hester's aunt was in love with, but they never really crossed that line because they, out of respect for the fact that his wife was still in captivity, they never really crossed that line. Hubble, that's it. I had the wrong name. Hubble. And they was having a funeral for him, and when she went by her house to go get some of the things she needed to get out of her house, they definitely had some inside intel. They definitely had some information, right? So when they went to the house for the funeral, I mean, she went by her house to go get some platters and stuff for the repast. She found that there was some slaves hiding out in her barn because, of course, they still on the Underground Railroad. She off in love over her husband's new house, honey. She done totally left her house empty. And remember, Abigail wasn't there. She was visiting family and she was gone. So nobody was at her house. Well, at that moment, Ezra Shue shows up. And he lets it be known, listen, people done told me about you. You weren't born free. And she was like, okay, but I'm free now. I got my papers and everything. And he was like, that's what you say. But we're gonna do some investigating. And they're able to get him away, but of course she's nervous, he's threatening her, and she's very scared. But she realizes, they're picking up a lot of people that are on the outskirts, a lot of people that are on the auxiliary. They're not really getting to the meat and potatoes of who's really running these slaves through here. They're not arresting people who are actually a part of the Underground Railroad. They're arresting people who are on the outskirts of the railroad.
Almost like small sacrifices.
Exactly. It's like small sacrifices. Exactly. And while they're back at the house having this conversation, who the hell shows up over to the Vashon's house to want to see Hester? That damn Foster. Now he want to act like he ain't never do nothing to her and he ain't never go around here calling her a hoe, wanting to buy her land. She said, first of all, my land's not for sale. He said, well, why not? I mean, you definitely can afford to do it. Like y'all own all this land. Why you can't sell me none of the land? She said, let me say something to you, sir. You tried to ruin my life. I would give that land away before I would sell it to you. Then he said something very interesting. He said, but you owe me. But you owe me.
I can show you what I owe you if you really want.
Okay. She said, sir, if you don't get out of my house, it's going to be a whole lot of problems. If you don't get up out of my house. Okay. Later on that night, Galen comes back home. Well, a couple of days later, Galen comes back home and she brings him up to speed on what's been going on. And of course, he's been trying to tell them all along that there's a snake in the grass, that there's somebody out here that's telling stuff. And of course, he is not here for Shue threatening her, nor does he give a damn about Foster. Okay. So a whole lot went down while he was gone.
You couldn't have told me up until like later on in the book that it wasn't Lovejoy who was the traitor. You couldn't have told me different.
Right, you couldn't, right? Because I mean, it seemed like it would be him, right? The way they wrote his character and stuff, it seemed like, oh well, he's the one that's he the one that's out here, doing things. Yeah, but we almost, I know, like I said, I know most of y'all are done reading the book, but let me see, we are at chapter 18. I think it's only 22 chapters, so will the 1920. Yeah, there's 22 chapters. So the next upload is going to be the conclusion of the book. I mean, ain't no need me stretching it out. And we'll go live again to finish up talking about the whole book and how y'all felt about it. May not be next Monday. We may do it later on this, like maybe the weekend. No, my weekend is booked. No, maybe it'll have to be Monday because my weekend is tight. I got a lot going on.
Yeah, just keep it on Monday.
Yeah, we'll just keep it on Monday. So maybe I will just do the next two chapters and then the next two chapters so that do it that way. But by this time, near the Civil War, where slave owners having financial problems because Shu is so desperate to find former slaves who've been gone for years. Well, there are a couple of things that are happening closer to the Civil War. One thing is, they stopped allowing new slaves to come into the country. And so a lot of times you were relying on the breeding. That's why we saw where that one, we were talking about the guy that Galen helped to begin with, the slave owner, he freed the men, but he kept the girls because the girls can have children, so you definitely had that as an issue. Contrary to popular belief, the abolitionist movement, it was becoming louder and louder the closer we got to the Civil War. You had more and more states that were outlawing slavery, even though you had stuff like the Fugitive Slave Act that was happening. And then you also had stuff like people up north were going and getting outside resources, and things like that. So I wouldn't say that they were in trouble. I wouldn't say that per se, but I definitely would say that they, that the tides were turning a little bit. They saw the writing on the wall a little bit. Did I discuss the scene where the lady decided to leave her master? You know what? I didn't. I did not. Oh my gosh, Moya. Yeah, that was the scene where Hubble. That's when Hester took Abigail to the train station, when she was going to go visit her family, and there was a woman there with her two little girls and her master, and they were convincing her, "Listen, you're free under Michigan law. You're free once you step foot in Michigan, you are a free person automatically." And she was real hesitant because at first she went up to Hubble to ask for his help, and then she sort of got cold feet, and he was like, "Listen, we can help you." And Hester sort of joined in. Hey, Danny. Hester sort of joined in and was like, "Listen, if you want to leave him, you can leave him, girl." And he's trying to convince her, "Listen, I told you I would free you, And she said, "But you're going to sell my children away from me." And he said, "I'm not going to do that." And she said, "You said that the last time and you sold my sons." She said, "How your sons?" Because, come to find out, those are her children. I mean, those are his children too. And she said, "Who's to say you're not going to sell my daughters?" And he says, "Listen, that was just business. Don't you understand?" And I think that's what did it. He almost had her until he said, "Well, that was just business." Right. He swore he loved her, but saw her children as property. Absolutely. And I think when he said that, "Well, I sold the sons, but that was just business," that's what I think she was like, So when
that's when clicked.
My children, my girls, right? It's just business. You're going to sell my girls away?
Or not even sell them. He going to breed them.
Well, breed them. Yep, that too. And I think that's what did it. I think before that, I think she might have been scared enough to not go, but I think that's what made her change her mind. And who was standing there watching the whole thing go down? Shu. So, he definitely is keeping an eye on Miss Hester.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys. So that was chapters 10 through 18. Yeah, 10 through 18. So we only have a few more chapters left. Again, most of y'all are already done. I know. But we'll do 19, 20, 21, 22. No, 18, 19. Anyway, we'll finish up the book by Monday. And we'll do our final discussion next Monday. And I hope some of you guys, I know people at work and things like that, but I hope some of you guys will be able to come up and join us so we can just talk about the whole book as a whole and how you guys felt. And some of you who've gone out and picked up some other Beverly Jenkins novels and things like that. Remember, today is her birthday. There is a Beverly Jenkins group on Facebook that I'm a member of. Danny's a member of. And she has a new one out that I actually just started reading. I was trying to wait until I got done doing the Indigo because I didn't want to cross the
You don't have sorry for interrupting. You don't have like your real name on that on your Facebook profile that you're on the in the group in? Good. That's why I was just checking.
No,
Because
thank
you
you.
don't
No,
want
thank you
the
for
YouTube people. Yeah,
asking.
people.
Oh,
So there's
thank
people on here who got some issues.
Yeah, no. Oh, I know. Trust me, I know. Child, trust me, I know. But thank you for asking. All
Hmm.
right. So hold on. Let me share this and then we can ready to get out of here. Hold on. Let me share this. Right. Wild Rain is her new book. This is and I'm gonna drop this link in the chat. This is the official website. Hold on. Oops, wrong one. For Beverly Jenkins. I'm gonna drop that. Nope. It always does that. I keep hold on, y'all. Give me a second. I'll get it for y'all because it keeps clicking the wrong thing. This is the website, right? If you go to this tab, it's the tab that says book list, and it goes in order. It goes in order. So if you go, does it? No, it does. Hold on, y'all. It doesn't go in order. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. It doesn't go in order. You can go in order though. Hold on. Because I have here it is, the heck on it. It's the drop down. My bad. So if you go to the drop down, these it goes in order of her different series. So for example, the Blessing series, that's a contemporary series where it's about a woman who um gets this huge settlement from her husband and she buys a town and the book follows that. And so it's probably about 5 or 6 books in that series. She has a contemporary romance series. So again, that takes place in present day. And it's romance novels, but the people, the women and men in these books are like the descendants of these historical characters. So like you'll see the descendants of Galen. You'll see the descendants of some of her other characters. The Destiny trilogy, which was really good. I just got done reading that a little while ago. The Grayson family, her historical romance, the Rhine series, that's the Old West. Those are really good. The ones out of the Old West. Women Who Dare. Her new book is from that series, the Women Who Dare series. And then, like I told you guys, here's her young adult. She has young adult. So if you go to her website and you go to the book list, it'll help you as far as in order. This would fall under the historical romance.
I'm so in love with the Old West books that she has. They're really good.
Yeah, they are. They're really good. Yeah, so that will help you guys out for those of you that are looking. See how the other way you can check too, you guys, is the copyright dates. I know that's a lot more intensive, but you can check the copyright dates.
Abby
And,
said, "Hi."
and there's actually she actually did a movie. It's independent. She used a lot of her own money and donations, but it's on Amazon Prime. Deadly Sexy, the movie, which is based on one of the contemporary romance novels I told you guys about, and it was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty good. Thank you, Danny. That's what I was looking for. That's actually what I was looking for. Hold on, Danny. Hold on, because that's actually what I was looking for was the list. I know there's a list because I seen the damn list. Hold on, let me. Here it is right here. The printable book list. That's it. Damn, I knew it was. I knew I had seen it. So that's the book list right there, y'all. So if you go to that, this is the book list. Josephine and the Soldier. Okay, so Belle and Her Bow, and then Josephine and the Soldier. And then this is the contemporary romance. So Deadly Sexy was the movie she made. This was the book that's based on the movie. Topaz isn't contemporary. That's in the wrong list. Topaz wasn't contemporary. So Vivid was before. Okay, Vivid was before Indigo. So I'm wrong. Night Song was her first novel, then Vivid, then Indigo. So Indigo was the third one. So if you go down this list like this, you'll go in order. And this is a PDF, so it's printable. These are, let me tell you something. These three right here are freaking hilarious. Forbidden has some of the fun. Like when you read a book and you laugh out loud, that lets you know. Forbidden has some of the funniest scenes I have. Listen,
Is that contemporary or historic one?
that's historic. This is the Old West series.
Okay, I need to read that one then.
Mm-hmm. Now the Blessing series. So there's 9 books. Oh, I didn't realize it was that many. There are 9 books in the Blessing series. I think her next book is going to be a Blessings book. I think that's going to be her next one is going to be a Blessings book. Because she just came out with another historical romance. She hasn't done a contemporary one in a while, a contemporary romance in a while. You see, the last one she's done was 2009. So I don't know why she got away from those, but she hasn't done one in a while.
Because historic books are so much better. Nobody want to live in this current time. We trying to escape.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I mean, I know this is going, but as much as I love Beverly Jenkins, I actually do enjoy her historical ones better than the contemporary ones. Not the Blessings novels. I love the Blessings novels, but the contemporary romance novels, they were good, but they sort of to me blended in with all the other, with the Brenda Jacksons and stuff. Not that I don't enjoy Brenda Jackson, but it just sort of blended in with that. But
I'm so tired of contemporary romance.
Right. See, it just sort of blended in, whereas the historical ones, and I found that she didn't have, at least I felt like it wasn't as much, I felt like it wasn't as much history.
And the way they, I'm talking too much now, but the way they, the publishers and things want them to write contemporary romance, it's the same formula over and over again. It gets old.
Yeah, I agree, Danny. That probably has something to do with it too. They don't sell as well. That probably because it's been a long time. I mean, you see 2009. It's been 10 years since she's written one, over 10 years. So definitely there must be a reason, and that's it. Now I've been, if you follow the thread on Facebook, especially with Bridgerton being so popular, a lot of people have been saying, hey, we could do this on Netflix, with some of these novels. I mean, I could definitely see Indigo being like an 8-part series on Netflix or something like that. It definitely was a lot in there to stretch it out to that. So, Danny, send you the link. All right, I was getting ready to get off of here, but hurry up. Hold on. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. Because
the people on the regular page probably like, where is our live at?
They'll be all right. Because Danny, Danny knows a lot as well. She is a big Beverly Jenkins fan, and she's a lot more active in the Facebook group and stuff like that than I am. I've met Beverly Jenkins, and it was wonderful. Like, it was a great, she's a really sweet woman.
That's good when you meet people who you actually like and they're good people.
She signed a couple of my books, so I got a couple of books signed by her. Exactly about what, Abby? What you exactly about? What Abby talking about exactly about? Something I said. While I wait for Danny to come on, so we are gonna go live in a few minutes though. I'm gonna let Danny say what she gotta say, and then we're gonna go live. But I ain't got a whole lot to talk about. That's probably why I ain't even stressing, because ain't a whole lot going on, child. Ain't a whole lot. We're gonna talk about them Real Housewives of Atlanta, honey.
Did you talk about Tekashi and what you call his name? Not fighting?
No, because I don't care.
Oh, I just wanted to say I did talk to her about the contemporary books, and the reason she hasn't been doing them as much is because they don't sell as well. Her historical, she has a niche group of people who pre-order, and with a lot of authors, the pre-order dictates what they're going to write.
That makes sense.
So whenever they set up a pre-order, and this is for authors in general, if they do a pre-order and you don't pre-order, then a lot of publishing houses don't feel like it's going to sell. So if they have a 5-book deal, if it's a series, they'll cut it to 3 books based on pre-orders. So it's really important to do the pre-orders. And for her, that was one of the things. It was like her pre-orders were horrible for her contemporary. And even with the Blessing series, it doesn't sell as well as her historicals. So that was one of the issues that she was having. And like people are always writing to her, telling her, hey, kill off this character. And she's like, that's one of her most popular characters. But people just have, you know, I always feel like it's the audacity to tell authors what to do with their books.
They ain't learned nothing from Misery. You can't be telling people what to do with their books.
Thank you. But people do. And, you know, I'm friends with a lot of authors and I'm in a lot of author groups. And it gets serious. Like that's why a lot of those groups now have moderators in their Facebook groups.
I'm sure.
But like, I'm like with Beverly, I'm personal friends with her on her personal page. So like I ask her questions and like L.A. Banks, if you guys ever remember her books, before she passed away, she used to do historical romances under Leslie Elaine Banks. And then she did her contemporary under L.A. Banks. Not her contemporary, her sci-fi books. So she actually introduced me to a group of Black writers, you know, before she passed away. And that's how I actually started talking on Facebook with Beverly Jenkins. Before she started her Facebook page, before she had enough people in there to start the page.
Well, we used to speak now before Facebook. I know everybody remember Yahoo groups. She had a Yahoo group and I was active. I was very active in the Yahoo group and she used to talk to us all the time. And she actually used to have like slumber weekends with like, and I never made it to one, but I always wanted to. And I never actually made it to one, but she would have, you know, the little slumber parties with her fans. And she used to come on there and we would, again, have real-time conversations with her on a regular basis. So, yeah, I definitely, I kind of miss those days. You know, I kind of miss those days.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for her success, but I kind of miss that smaller community where we, like you said, could talk to her and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
but I definitely
she's really approachable to most of her fans.
Oh, yeah,
she's in the group. It's like,
yeah.
You know, she still goes and, you know, before the pandemic, she still does book club meetings. Like,
yeah,
I was
going to reach out to her. I keep forgetting to do it, which is my fault. I was going to reach out to her to see if she wanted to join us here, but listen, y'all know my brain. In my mind, I'd be like, yep, and then I forget all about it.
That would be cool. We should do another Beverly Jenkins book for the second one.
For the final, when we talk about the final one, do you have a date and a time?
We're gonna do it Monday. We're gonna do it Monday at 5:00.
Okay, 5 o'clock Eastern
Standard. Yep.
Okay.
All right, you guys.
You don't remember? I will try to reach out to her this week.
Like I said, I meant to do it myself as well. I meant to email her as well because I could just drop her the link, honey. It ain't no thing. But if you can reach out to her, by all means, I can send you I can set up the live whatever, so you can send her the link to come on.
Okay. Yeah, email me and then I will I will text you basically. I'll text you to get it set up.
Okay.
So I'll be your reminder. Look, I'll be your secretary.
All right. We're getting ready to go live on the other channel. 7:15. I'm gonna schedule it. We ain't gonna be on there long, child. 7:15.
All right. I can get back to work. I just wanted
Thank
to
you.
You know, this is one of my favorite books. So,
girl, listen. You know how I love Indigo, child. You know that's my girl. Hester, honey. Hester don't be playing with Galen. All right,
that's why I waited because I was like, I was gonna power through it in a day. So I was like, I'm gonna wait till she gets close to the end, and I'm gonna read it. So I did it yesterday. So,
girl, I've been struggling to not keep reading when I get to the end and doing my reviews and writing my notes and stuff because it's a different experience when you're doing it to discuss a book. Like when you're doing book club books to discuss books versus just reading for pleasure. Because I've done book clubs before. It is definitely a different experience.
I've done this book for book club, and it was funny because I pulled out my actual book, and it had the notes from the last book club that I did on this one. And I was like, oh, okay. See, I still have the notes from the last time. And I had to pick a book. I was like, let's do Indigo, because I was in a Beverly kind of mood.
There it is. Ain't nothing wrong with it. All right.
So, yeah, but if you guys like this book, Rebel, which is the book that came out right before Wild Rain, it's Raymond's brother. So there's because he has 5 brothers, she's done, I think, 3 of the brothers now have their own book, but this one has that one, and then several of her other books are mentioned. So characters from the other books are mentioned in Rebel, which, you know, anytime you have a nod to like, and they bring up characters that you've read before, it just like makes you happy inside.
We talked about that. You probably weren't in here. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, I was on a call. So yeah, so Rebel is, by far, that's like one of those books that like have a special place in my heart, because that one was really good as well. I just started Wild Rain, so I'll probably have that done in.
I just started it too. But I'm
trying to pace myself.
I was gonna say I'll be slow walking her books because I hate to see them end.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, for real, we out.
Okay. Bye.